In the first session, we looked at Jesus' description of what it looks like to be a disciple, right? And Mark 12 is really the text that we are spending a lot of time with. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to see this cool picture because I thought that was cool. So before I advance it, some of you have probably seen it. Remember, this was kind of popular, I don't know, a decade or more ago, these signs from God. That love thy neighbor thing, I meant that, God. I thought that was fun. Anyways, where we're spinning, the primary text for everything we're doing today really is Mark 12. And it's where Jesus is talking about what it means to be a disciple. And remember, we read there, the most important is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And we talked about how a disciple's life is focused on God, with the goal of becoming just like our Master. That He's the one we commit all that we are, our heart, our soul, our mind, our strength. Commit all of those to be like, to know, and to love, to agape love. To choose to love unconditionally, regardless of the cost, as a decision of the will. That's what it means to be His disciple. That we seek Him with every part of our lives. But as we read in this text, he makes it clear that, that's key, right? That's the first part. He also says, it's not just that, he also says that we are to love our neighbor as ourselves. Again, agape love our neighbor as ourselves. And then he says, there is no other commandment greater than these. Which is kind of interesting, because in the list, when we think of it, I'm not going to spend time on talking about that, but that's interesting. Actually, another way to look at this is actually the same thing as the Ten Commandments, the first and second table of the law, right? Our relationship with God and our relationship with others. Anyways, but as we read in this text, love our neighbors, no commandment greater than these. The call of a disciple isn't only to focus on Jesus, but to be His hands and feet and voice in the world that He's placed us in. To live out the love and hope that we've found by God's grace. And then to be shaped by joining Him in His ministry to this world, which is part of the reason God calls us to love our neighbors as ourselves. As His disciple, part of loving Him is learning to love others, even the not so easy ones to love. Anybody know what I'm talking about there? Yeah, we have that, right? Not everybody is super lovable. As his disciple, part of putting our old nature to death daily and becoming like Him is choosing to love others, even as much as we love ourselves. To agape love them. A decision of the will to choose to love without consideration of response or cost or benefit to ourselves. Choosing to do what is best for the other person, loving them as we love ourselves. With that in mind, we're going to jump right into another discussion time here. Again, back to our groups. And here's what I want you to talk about. What does it mean to love my neighbor as myself? What does it mean to love my neighbor as myself? And I'm going to give you a couple other highlights here. What are the restrictions to that? What does it look like? What might be some of the costs? And if you have time, maybe even share a scripture too. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give you another 10 minutes. Go back to, and you can intermingle, go to a different group or whatever, but we want the groups small enough that everybody can say what they want to, but you can go anywhere you want, okay? So let's do that. Give you 10 minutes. We're going to have to be a little tighter on that. I'll let you know when we come back.